Luther translation.
Okay.
Is that the same as like what we use as Lutherans, like the King James version or the New International Version?
It's basically the same, only in German.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's I was just wondering.
When it was translated in German,
Uh-huh.
in Germany, in German, where the King James was translated in English, but it's you know, pretty much identical.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Mennonites would all pretty much all use some form of the like from the King James or newer translations. They still the whole Bible. There's no difference.
So do you know what separates like the Mennonites and the Amish and the Hutterites from like us Lutherans?
And what do you call yourself?
Lutherans.
Oh, Lutherans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, adult baptism.
Okay.
Lutherans are still do infant baptism, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Then the other big thing that sets the Anabaptists in a category by themselves, we do not even technically consider ourselves Protestants.
Okay.
We are Anabaptists.
But you're still Christians.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's the other big thing that seems to be the separation, even from like the Baptists and who have adult baptism, is the peace statement of not partaking in war.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Not and to trying to be a peaceful people.
Even
making
Mennonites
peace
as well?
rather than trouble.
Okay. So like the Mennonites and the Amish and the Hutterites, they wouldn't ever like enlist?
They do not normally. Some of them will go in as non-combatants, like in the medical.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. I had some brother-in-laws that did that.
Okay.
Usually, like when I was of draft age and the draft was in, they made provisions for us to serve, but not in the military.
Okay.
In other words, I particularly worked in a children's home, took care of kids.
So that was your way
to do my 2 years.
Okay.
Very nice.
And others did other things.
Yeah.
A lot of people worked in medical schools, and that is covered real big back in the.
I guess we're just jumping ahead of ourselves.
Of the Waterloo
Okay.
That's covered in the whole section on that.
Great. Well, thanks for the preview.
Yeah.
All right.
It's nice to get the
Appreciate
juices.
it.
Let's move on into the next one here. We don't happen to have another group coming behind you right at this point, so it's not like we're pushed right now.
That's good.
A lot of times
we like to ask
A
questions.
lot of the times we do not take questions.
Oh, really?
Because
Yes. Me
these three
too.
rooms take the same amount of time as that first room. And so if we have other groups starting one right after another,
They can.
Yeah.
and
Go straight
then that's why we have somebody stationed at the other end, because there's more time to talk,
I see.
because you don't have somebody pushing right behind.
I just don't like to forget my questions.
This here is actually a copy of a dungeon over in Europe. I think in an area of France, I'm not sure, where a lot of the Anabaptists were and a lot of the persecutions took place. The Martyr's Mirror here will be highlighted.
Okay.
And that is a book that where they kept track of a lot of the persecutions and stuff. I think that book was printed in the 1600s or 1500s. Late 1500s, the middle,
So
middle
that
of 60s.
details the history?
Yeah.
Okay.
And those pictures are
From
taken
the
out
mirror.
of this Martyr's Mirror. That is a tongue screw. When they would put them to death, a lot of times they would stand at the stake singing songs and testifying to their faith. And so they would a lot of times take these tongue screws and put them on their tongue so they couldn't do that. Or in here, the Michael Sattler that you just heard about back there, about 3 weeks later, after what you heard in there, he was arrested. And he'll talk about that in here and put to death.
Okay.
His tongue was cut out, so he couldn't do that.
Oh my God.
So anyhow, it happened, but it happened not just to Anabaptists.
Yeah.
If you were a Lutheran, in some times, if you were a Lutheran in a Catholic area or a Catholic in a Lutheran area, same thing happened.
Like that we don't live in that kind of world
That's,
anymore.
Me too.
And all the faiths
it was
are
anybody that didn't follow the
Muslims.
designated state religion. It was a heretic.
Mm-hmm.
And their idea of a heretic was to end their life.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, okay, I'm gonna get this going. When this is over, lights come back on, you just exit through that door.
Okay.
And that's the cobblestone streets of Amsterdam.
Oh.
A little bit, so it's a little rough. You'll have to be a little careful pushing the buggy there, but
Okay.
it'll go. And then there's a lot of things to read, a lot of buttons like this you can push, and that's the self-guided part of the tour.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll wait just a second here while they're finding what they want there.
How long have you worked here?
This is my third summer. I worked here 2
Okay.
months one year, 3 months the next. This year we're here for 5.
Is it only open summer?
No, it's open
Okay.
year round.
Oh, I see.
But
So
they
what do
have
you
other
do?
people- I go to Florida in the winter.
Oh, really?
I'm retired. This is just a voluntary deal.
Oh, I see.
And they give us a place to live. There's a couple apartments above the gift shop. And,
Oh,
long-term volunteers they put in there.
very nice.
There's probably the other man out here that you've seen, and there's a woman in the back. They come in half a day to a day a week.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 40 people that do that.
So it's all volunteers.
It's all volunteers. Right now there's 3 paid positions: the overall director, a managing director. The overall director does mostly like fundraising and things like that. And she, managing director, gets the volunteers around and just the day-to-day operation. She's the bookkeeper and so forth. And then we have somebody that works a couple days a week on computer work and advertising like that. Okay, here we go.
Thank you so much for your help.
Welcome, if that word may be used, to a 15th century dungeon, to a place void of daylight, warmth, or any smell, save that of dankness, death, and decay. Those who accept the official faith of the state gather in majestic cathedrals filled with stained glass and statues. Those who won't are imprisoned here in a rude cathedral filled with the instruments of torture. It is a cathedral of last resort for those considered heretics by the state. By 1527, the most frequent parishioners here are the Anabaptists, who continue to insist on baptizing adults and calling for the church to be free of state control. This tool, once designed to snare a thief by the neck on a crowded street, is now called an Anabaptist catcher. Michael Sattler, who brought unity to the Anabaptists, is captured. The movement has become so popular that he must be moved from prison to prevent a rescue attempt. Emperor Ferdinand gives permission to execute Michael without trial, but the authorities want to make an example of him. Sattler is tried and sentenced to have his body torn by iron tongs 7 times, then burnt to death as an arch heretic. Executions are public events, so his tongue is cut out to keep him from witnessing. But the courage Michael shows as he goes to his death convinces fellow believers that a martyr's death is bearable. The Anabaptists become a hidden church, gathered in caves, barns, and forest glens, baptizing all who believe on a confession of faith. Within 5 years, by 1530, the movement has spread as far north as Holland, to Moravia in the east, and south into Italy. As the movement grows, so does the determination of both Catholic and Protestant authorities to wipe it out. Soon prisons overflow. Anabaptists raise songs of praise from dungeon pits. This hymn, written by Michael Sattler, is still sung by the Amish and Mennonites today. During the first decade of their movement, the execution of Anabaptists number in the thousands. This huge book, known as the Martyr's Mirror, records only a small portion of such accounts.
The magistrate, in pursuance with the imperial mandate, executed 350 people for their faith. While others were being drowned and executed, The rest who were yet alive sang until the executioner took them. Some whom they did not wish to execute they tortured and maimed. Of some they cut off fingers, others they burned crosses on their foreheads, and subjected them to much wanton injury, so that even the magistrate said, "What shall I do? The more I cause to be executed, the more they increase."
After Maria was burned, they asked Ursula, who was also condemned, whether she would now recant. "No," said she, "not for death I will not forsake eternal riches." When she was led to the wood, she said, "Our Father, which art in heaven." "Yes," said the priest, "there you will find him." When she stepped upon the wood, her foot slipped. "I think I'm falling off," she said. "Stop," they cried, "she means to recant." "No," said she, "the wood slips from under me. I will not faint in the word of God, but constantly adhere to Christ." Relentless persecution takes its toll not only in deaths, but on the spirit of those who remain. In 1534, the movement experiences its darkest hour. A group of fringe Anabaptists take over the city of Munster and defend it by force. Catholic and Protestant armies join to retake the city. The incident is widely publicized as a reason to continue all-out war against Anabaptists everywhere. Once again, the Anabaptists need leadership to bring stability to their troubled church.
That leadership and stability then was provided by Menno Simons. When you leave here, the fourth panel down, ceiling to floor, talks about Menno Simons. That's where the name Mennonite comes from. There's another panel that talks about Jacob Hutter. That's where the name Hutterite comes from. And there's another panel that talks about Jacob Ammon. That's where the name Amish comes from. When you leave here, watch your step. I'm a little worried about that stroller there because it's pretty rough.
We can pick it up.
Pretty rough cobblestone. And that signifies the fact that the Anabaptist story leaves the old world and goes to the new world. The cobblestone represents a street in Amsterdam, Holland. When you get done looking at the things on the wall and pushing the red buttons, get around to the end of the cobblestone, you'll be ready to board a little sailing ship that takes you from Amsterdam to the new world. And in the center of the sailing ship, the big main mast, there's a button like this. You push the button and you'll hear a mom's diary of what that trip was like from Amsterdam to the new world. Those brochures that you were given at the beginning, if you open them wide, you'll see a map. And on the map, you are leaving number 4, which is the dungeon. And now you're on your own. You can go as fast or slow as you want to. There's all kinds of red buttons to push, and silver buttons to push, and telephone receivers to put in your ear, and videos to watch, and several places where there are wooden doors like this with either a question or a statement on the door. You pick the door up, and underneath is the answer to the question or some more information. All kinds of stuff on the wall to read, your own guide. But eventually, no matter how fast or how slow you go, you're going to get to 21 on your map, which is the tornado room, and we ask your cooperation. Please do not enter the tornado room unless you are accompanied by a guide.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, watch your step because of the cobblestone.